Bless you. Bless you. Bless you.
Thanks, man. That exercise is going to be very important for like tip of the day. It's going to be relevant. It's going to be apropos. So here we go. We good?
Yeah.
Dan's Podcast episode 49. William, back to backs. How are we feeling?
Back to backs. Let's go, Dan.
Oh, all right. So how is it? So we talked a little bit before about mindset. Shout out to our mutual friend T Money Pamalema. Taught us about mindset and the importance of it. And I've been going back and forth recently with this idea of abundance versus scarcity mindset. And the scarcity mindset comes into play and is very effective when you're thinking about only having one thing. Right? So you use the example of the other day of only having one pen. Neil deGrasse Tyson used that same example, only having one pen. If you only have one of something, you're likely to take really good care of it. But at the same time, we live in a society of abundance. But where am I wrong on the scarcity mindset and efficacy there?
Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of this. So I also have one pencil. So my friend got this from Korea. She's from Korea. Anyway, very cool pen and pencil. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of this. But I think you shouldn't have a scarcity mindset for everything. So I think for physical things, that's a good thing. But I think in terms of when you have to employ your imagination to solve problems, I really think almost the exact opposite is better. Like assume, you want to start from a place of what would be the best possible scenario and then kind of cut back as reality tells you to, not starting low and working your way up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think when you scale any sort of enterprise, you need to have an abundance mindset. You have to come with a mindset like you have an idea or a concept. And you like once you get a few employees, you're like, oh, I got to pay these people now. Like, what the hell? Like, let's cut. It's like, no, you got to be able to have that vision. But yeah, I think that's a good distinction between where scarcity is good and where abundance is a better mindset for it. It's like your own personal things. It's better not to be like, oh, I'll just drive my car like shit, because I can just get a new one. It's better to be like, oh, let's take care of this thing, or your relationships, like, oh, I can just get new friends, whatever. Abundance mindset.
Yeah, I think definitely So I think for personal things in your life, scarcity is good. Like, hey, I might lose this. Like, this could go away. You make sure you appreciate those things. But if you're creating something new, I think maybe the opposite would be better. So I think maybe that might be the place you might be wrong there.
Yeah, I think I gave myself a curious argument there. Yeah, it's interesting the influence of childhood has as you get into adulthood.
Man, you're going to end on that one, Dan.
Yes. That's big.
That's my favorite ending segment yet.
You got to hack your brain to...
Okay, you're done. Name that like fallacy here. Okay, Dan. So, the statement is short. It's just when people claim, oh, we're the party of Lincoln, which is like 150 years ago, right? And it's just like, that is clearly not a logical thing to say. Like, you can't make that claim. But
what's the specific?
What's the Abraham Lincoln? That's not topical. That's 150 years ago, Dan. Okay, what's the logical fallacy, though?
It's something about, I'm going to call it the zeitgeist fallacy.
Yeah, that's basically it. Like getting caught up in today's terminology. The fancy term is equivocation, where you equate a previous meaning of a word to a modern meaning. And Lincoln's, I think his political party was technically called Republican, but he was not a conservative. That was not a conservative party at the time. It was the more liberal-minded party of the time.
Yeah.
Granted, he still had like extremely conservative views compared to today. But back then, his party was a more liberal party, and so to equate the word Republican to today is like completely illogical. But
anyway. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, where else do you see this in? And I think it's a branding thing. Yeah, it's interesting around the branding of it, not just politically, but in other realms of culture and life. You probably see this.
I think it happens a lot. I think that happens a lot in business where think like a smaller company will get taken over or get rebranded. Like for example, I think Sports Illustrated, they got bought and they fired all their main most beloved writers, and it's basically just a shell of a name now.
Interesting, yeah.
And so it's just like you can't really equate what Sports Illustrated was before to what it is now, except the name. Like it's just the name. It's the same.
Okay, that's
it's the substance of it, not the name that matters.
Right. It's kind of just it's like the shell is there, but there's no like substance or framework that supports it anymore. That's interesting. Okay, I like that. William, I like that. So I alluded to this one at the top of the show because I feel like I do this at the top of every show, which is my tip of the day, which is to all those folks out there, get rattled at least once a day. Get rattled. Have the feeling that you're like, ooh, I took a risk. I did something that maybe my stomach jumped a little bit. It could be trying a new hobby. It could be talking to that person. It could be the clap that you do before a podcast. But get rattled at least once a day, folks. It means you try. It means put yourself out there.
Yeah, I think that's really great. I think the one thing I might, not that I'm trying to find where you're wrong here, but what about people who like I know a couple people who are just, they found something they really love to do and they don't really want to do anything else. They're just like super craftsmanship focused on this one thing. So like when you say to people like that, we're just like, look, I'm not getting rattled, but I am expending a lot of focused energy into what I know I want to do. So where's the
I think you still push the boundary. You still got to push the boundary with whatever you're doing, right? It's like maybe you try this new thing that you're like nervous about. It's kind of just like it's not necessarily just like telling folks to just go out and try new shit. Hey Dan, go tomorrow do something random that you've never tried before and just put yourself out there and say, hey, I'm gonna try this thing. Look at me. It's like, no, do it purposefully, but always be pushing yourself to take that next risk, that next step. Because that can be even if you're, I'm trying to think of an example. If you said the term craftsman earlier, if you're developing a new, say you're good with your hands and you're woodworking, you got to push yourself to make that next little cut that you didn't think you can make. That's an example of just taking risk and continuing to put yourself out there. So if you're doing that once a day, that's pretty good, man. That means that once a day.
Compounds. I mean, if you can, I think was James Clear talks about this, just the 1% gains.
Right.
If you do 1% better over a year, that's 1.01 raised to the 365, and it's like it's like between 20 and 30 times improvement.
Right.
And if you do 1% worse, then it's you'll go down, not the same factor, but you'll go down like you either stagnate or go down barely any.
Right. So that's an interesting concept. I'm gonna steal that one for later. But there's no such thing as this. You're getting better, getting worse. So
exactly. Okay. So
interesting.
Bringing it back again, Dan. Bringing it back. So back when movies were first coming out, this was a new industry. People were experimenting with, this new media. It was visual, right? Visual moving pictures, and so they started experimenting with other senses to incorporate into the talkies. And they talked about smell, and they had this thing called smell-o-vision, where they had smells for different scenes. I think that's amazing, and I think we could do an amazing job with modern technology. What do you think?
Smell. Yeah, I never heard the term smell-o-vision before you mentioned the pre-show. It could be interesting. I think smell is. I'm trying to think of the experience in a theater. Imagine that. You're like in a theater, and they just start pumping these random smells in, and it's like, okay, maybe you have to start to figure out how to pump them out. Yeah, but I agree with you. There's smart enough technology today.
It doesn't have to be like a perfume spray. It could be like scratch and sniff, right?
Okay, so it's a little bit more localized.
Or you wear a helmet or something like that.
It's a little bit more of an opt-in. Yeah,
You wear a comfy mask.
Oh, because with the mask, ooh, yeah, because masks are already kind of a social norm. It's like you just kind of
Yeah,
build up.
people are used to wearing masks, and I don't think. I mean, it's going to be a tough sell because people kind of hate masks. But that's I'm not saying that's the most perfect implementation of this idea. There's probably a clever way to do it in a non-invasive way.
Yeah, but no, you make a point about the visceral nature of the olfactory sense,
Oh,
right?
huge, right?
That's something that I think it was I mentioned our boy Harari before talking about like something that we've lost over time, but the sense of smell.
Yeah.
Like we used to have such a keen, unbelievable like in a survival situation. Imagine the importance would be like similar to not similar, but that's how so many other organisms survive. Think about other mammalian organisms. It's like that's so critical to.
Yeah, and so here's where I think we could get, things change much faster if there's money involved. And I think if you pitch it to companies where like, hey, if you can, we're going to associate these smells with these moments in meaningful movies, and we're going to license you these smells for your products.
Ooh.
So when people smell your product, they'll be like, oh, I like that smell, and they'll associate, they'll trigger that when they see your product. So anyway, that could be an interesting way.
That's next level, William. That's like the old school subliminal messaging from the early movies. When they would have like, didn't they do that? They would just like have these micro clips of like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is illegal now, right? Didn't they make that illegal? Like you can't do subliminal. It works too well.
Right. Yeah. It just kind of inception the brain of movie watchers. I feel like this would be a similar example. No.
Well, so I don't
inception folks.
The weird thing was I think they just didn't have the technology really. It was like so messy back in the 30s and 40s and 20s maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not 20s, but 30s for sure, when like TV and movies were really coming out. I mean, I think today, like, you set a team of a couple highly trained engineers, and I mean, they're like smell specialists. I'm sure there's like a small niche expertise group of smell experts,
Just know the smells. They know all of the smells.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. I mean, imagine watching like you're watching Lord of the Rings, and like there's a smell for the Shire, and then when you're out in Rohan, there's this nice smell of the plains, and then you get to Mordor, and there's a smoky evil. I think that's cool. I don't know. I kind of get nerded out with that kind of stuff.
It would be a cool way to really heighten the experience. It would be. I feel like there could be a niche for it. All right, I'm listening now. I'm listening. Another one of Will's.
We'll roll it out on our blimps and train experiences, Dan.
You got a lot of ideas. A lot of high. What do we call those? High upfront cost ideas. That's Will's,
yes,
Will's,
extremely.
Will loves a high upfront cost business. Like all the businesses today are going to software and like how do we make this low?
No. All physical infrastructure projects.
Will's like no. All heavy hard physical infrastructure and like hefty engineering. That's what we want to invest in 2021 and beyond. You're just flipping the game on its head, Will. I love it, man. I love it.